Welcome to Beyond Belief, where we cover all of the events involving Toronto's favorite Suns, the Toronto Maple Leafs, with your hosts, Adam and Donnie.
Welcome to another episode of Beyond Belief, a Toronto Maple Leafs podcast and vidcast. As always, I'm your host, Adam, and with me is my co-host, the Emerald enthusiast, but for today's proceeding, the Leafs enthusiast, Donnie. Donnie, how's it going?
What's up, Leafs Nation? Welcome to another episode of Beyond Belief, as we talk about, so far, a roller coaster season.
It's 2026, New Year.
New Year.
Will it be the same Leafs or new Leafs? That's what we are still...
Can the Leafs turn over a new leaf? Who knows?
There you go. But we're in the process of figuring that out, whether they will or they won't. As the 10-game stretch we're going to cover will show you. It's still anybody's guess.
It's not been a boring season. Hasn't always been the best season.
They certainly make it interesting. So let's start. We're going to cover 10 games.
Yeah, we're going to go back to November 22nd.
Much to our chagrin, but here we go.
Yes, and talk about the game at the Canadiens.
Yeah, in
Montreal.
Montreal.
The Leafs ended this with a record of 9-10-3, and things were not looking good at this point. The big problem that the Leafs have had, well, there's been a few, but the big problem with defense, they gave up 5 goals in this game, and they kind of looked shell-shocked. And
that's the thing, because I remember that game, and I want to say, they were looking pretty decent in the first period until they got a couple goals scored on them. And then they went into, okay, we're done, let's stop playing. I believe Joseph Wall started that game. And if I remember correctly, he stood on his head. And here's the funny, it's not funny is the wrong word.
Yeah, they pulled him for hell to be at the end.
The sad part about it was that, at the start of the second period, I believe it was 2-0. And in the first minute and a half to 2 minutes, the guy had to stop 2 odd-man rushes. He was literally by himself. And then eventually, you keep doing that, and the other team is going to score. It's just the law of averages, right? But the most concerning thing is, again, in that scenario, specifically against Montreal, is, again, first period, they look pretty decent. And then they get goals scored on them, and they wilt, and they look bewildered. And
yeah, it was 4-1 at the end of 2, and when they went to the second break, they were done.
Yeah, you can tell when they're going to have some pushback in them and when they're going to just roll over and call it a day. And this was a roll over and call it a day kind of game. Again, I think it's just, in that scenario, I think it's more of a mindset thing of, okay, you're down, but you were still, at the end of the first, you're down 2, but you're still playing pretty decently. But then you come out really flat to start the second period. That was the concerning thing, and that's what ultimately cost them the game.
Yeah. I will say Ekman Larsson had a nice goal in this game, and for a defenseman, he's actually had a pretty good year offensively.
He's having a fantastic year, yeah. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, the offensive numbers are great, which is awesome. But he's playing solid defensively as well, which to me, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I would, he and Tanev are the two that are kind of the bread and butter on defense.
And McCabe. I've seen McCabe as well.
Well, yeah, McCabe too. I need to give McCabe his props. But, Tanev now dealing with an injury, and they're saying he's going to be out for a while.
This is his 3rd injury this season, which is not good.
Right.
But, yeah, there wasn't much to write home about in that Montreal game, but, I think what cost them the game was the fact that the lack of response and the lack of pushback when they got down. But you can't hang that on Wall or Hildeby when defensively the team in front of them is nowhere to be found.
You can't blame the goalie if he's constantly under pressure. You've got to give him some help. You got to give him some breathing room.
Yeah, we'll get to that game eventually. Yeah. But also...
But that's what I'm saying. A lot of times, when the Leafs have had a lot of goals scored on them, all you've got to do is look at the shots on goal, and you realize just how much pressure the goalies have been under.
And going back to the Montreal game, I don't want to spend too much time on it because it was uneventful from a Leaf point of view. You know, when we say the defense let the goalie down, we're not talking about just the 6 guys that are actually playing defense. We're talking about team defense. You know, the forwards' willingness to come back and help defend. Be in the right spots to disrupt odd man rushes. You know, to win the puck back. That's what we're talking about. It's not just the 6 guys that are playing the defense position. So I want to clarify that. But I think that's all we need to have said about the Montreal game. Because let's not. Yeah.
Well, and that's been another issue this year. I don't know the stats exactly, and I don't even know, winning the puck battles along the board, a lot of times the Leafs have come out on the short end of the stick.
Yes.
They get up against the boards.
Lately. Yeah, lately they've been better.
They get the battle. They haven't had much energy. I will say, you know, recently we talked about, you know, Matthew Nyes, you know, just throwing hands and is like, you know what, I've had enough of this. You know,
right.
He seems to me like a future captain.
He's
definitely somebody who's going to define this team. You know, assuming they re-sign him, he's going to define this team.
Well, he's here for a long term. I think he's on a 7 or 8 year deal, or a 6 to 8 year deal, something like that. Yeah. So I'm not concerned about him.
So, although there was a trade rumor out there, and I got really worried. I'm like, I don't want this guy going anywhere.
No, they're not going to trade Nyes.
Yeah, you need young talent to build off of it, especially when you have issues with draft picks. So
unless Edmonton's giving us McDavid, I'm not considering Nyes in any kind of trade. That's the only time I'll consider Nyes, is if it involves McDavid coming back the other way.
So November 26th, Leafs at the Blue Jackets. Leafs win 2-1 in overtime. And this was a much more balanced effort. We had 3 shots on goal from Nylander, Cowan, who's having a pretty good year too, as well as Tavares.
Yes. That was the one where it was in Toronto, wasn't it?
No, this was in Columbus.
Was it the Nylander goal? Correct me if I'm wrong. Nylander scored the winner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That was when the puck deflected right back to Nylander, and he put it in? Yes.
Yeah. Matthews also had 3 shots on goal in this game. None of them went in. But he's kind of rounded into form lately. We'll talk about that in just a minute.
And again, I think that game is one where Nylander was engaged. What I want to talk about with that game was Nylander was very engaged in that game. It usually involves him getting yelled at first, that's the part I don't like, is the fact that the coach has to yell at him like he's 5. And then he's like, oh, maybe I'll go out there and score the overtime winner now. But my problem is, why do you need to be yelled at? You're a 27, 28-year-old man. You're getting paid $11-point-something million a year. Why do we need to yell at you to get motivation? But again,
I think pretty much everybody has agreed that his defense has not been great this year.
And look, I'm not asking him. This is my issue with Nylander. That game where he scores the overtime winner proves that, you know, offensively he can make something out of nothing. Like, nobody's disputing.
He's been great offensively at times.
Yeah, nobody's disputing.
He's been their best offensive player at times.
Nobody's disputing his offensive talent. What has he got? 15 goals, something like that. He's had 2 or 3 seasons with 40 goals. So nobody's disputing his offensive talent. What I'd like to see Nylander do is just increase his level of care when the puck is in our end of the zone. So that means being in a good, even if you don't want to go in the corners and get the puck back, just be in a good position to get the puck or to disrupt a pass or something along those lines, right? Oftentimes with Nylander, he's cheating and he's already outside of our zone, waiting for the breakaway pass. The problem is we don't have the puck yet. And when he does that, it puts us at a disadvantage. So, but overall, that game was better. And I do give Nylander a lot of credit for staying with the play and scoring that goal. Because when the puck went off the foot of the Columbus player and came back to him, if he's not in a good position there, we lose that chance, right?
We've seen a lot of bouncing and deflected pucks this year, both for and against the Leafs.
Yes.
But that's, those things can happen when you go to the net. And too often this year we haven't seen that from the Leafs.
You got to go to the net and plant yourself there and stay there. That's the key. You go to the net and fly by it. That does no good for anybody. Right?
Yeah, and you've got to look for those rebounds. I forget exactly what it was the other night, but there was a play at the Leafs net, and the opposition missed, and I forget exactly who it was, missed the chance at the rebound, and Joe Bowen was like, "No rebound for you, smarty pants."
Yeah.
So now we go on, we continue the road swing, and boy did I hate this game. November 28th against the Capitals. The Leafs had the lead and could not hold it. They had an awful third period and ended up losing 4-2.
Yeah, and again, the thing I remember about this game is I think we were leading. Were we leading going into the third, I believe?
Yeah, we were leading 1-0 after the first and leading 2-1 after the second. And going into the third, they scored 3 goals.
And again, I think the fourth one was an empty net, but regardless. But
the fact is we got blanked.
And the problem with that is, again, I think it's just because you have a lead. Now, there's a difference between protecting the lead and playing smart defensively, yes. Don't go into a shell and stop playing offense.
Yeah.
Because...
And you and I talked about, a lot of times it's not the goalie. Joseph Wall had a .909 save percentage in this game.
Right, which means he stopped 90.9% of the shots he faced.
Yeah, exactly. He stopped 30 of 33 shots. Can't fault him for that.
But, so the key is you want to be defensive-minded, yes, but you don't want to go into a defensive shell. The best way to defend the lead, very simply, is if you're playing at the other end of the rink, you won't have to defend as hard.
Yeah, exactly.
And that doesn't mean you have to get 10 to 15 shots a period. All that means is keep it in the other team's zone in the corner and muck it up in the corner. Don't just flip it, do the high flip, get it out of your zone just to change, and then you're right back in your own zone. Which is oftentimes the trap the Leafs get into. Running around in their own end because they can't get the puck out. Then they get tired.
And there's still been too many easy giveaways in the neutral zone and a couple of really bad passes this year, the last couple of months.
And again, but that comes back to like 5-on-5 positioning. Right? And all 5 guys having a willingness to come back and quote-unquote defend. Which, the games that they've won, they've been able to do that. In the games that they haven't, the forwards are just floating around aimlessly. And again, the Washington game was disappointing because at the very least you should have come out of there with 1 point. But they came out with nothing.
Well, let's hop on to a much better effort, November 29th against the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Oh, what a game.
This was the one.
7-2, I remember. Oh.
Offensively, the Leafs just exploded this night. And we got goals all around. Goals from Matthews, McMahon, Waugh, Ekman-Larsson, Dakota Joshua, Easton Cowan, and Nick Robertson. By the way, impressed so far with both Cowan and Robertson this year. I think they should be in the top 6 more often.
We'll talk about them during this game as well. But first, 2 things. First of all, I love beating former Leafs GM Kyle Dubas, or as I call him, and this show is not for children. It's going to be marked that way. I call him Kyle Dumbass Dubas because a lot of the bad contracts that we're saddled with. You know, remember the Mitch Marner ordeal? You know who put that contract in place? Dumbass Dubas. So anytime we get a chance to beat him, makes Adam happy.
Also got to give props to Dennis Hildeby, the Hildebeest that night, 943 save percentage.
But it's again, here's the frustrating part about a game like this is all 5 guys coming back, right, to help defend. Offensively, it wasn't just dump and chase. They were making some plays, right? And when the Leafs want to, you see them control a game like this. And it's winning board battles, having speed, playing with pace, right? And this is one of the games they were able to do that. And you look at that and say, well, okay, so you can do it. What's the excuse for the game before where you came out in the 3rd period and didn't do any of that?
And there's been a lot of talk in the media about Austin Matthews, is he ever going to get back to the player that he was? Well, in this game, he had 4 shots on goal. He only had 1 goal, but I don't like when I look at the scorecard and I see at the end of the game where he only has like 2 shots on goal, the Leafs aren't going to win those kinds of games many times.
But he's creating, when he has a lot of shots, he's creating. He has puck possession.
Exactly.
He's commanding the game. And that's what he's capable of.
Mm-hmm. You have to respect him. And he seems to be, let's hope, rounding in the form.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. But that was a night. What a shot that was. That was some vintage Austin Matthews stuff.
When he cranks it, I mean, it is still a thing of beauty. That thing just flies off his stick, and you can't even see it until it's in the back of the net.
Funny story about that game, though. Just an offside family story. So,
okay.
We were at my uncle's house these were the uncles that we weren't going to see for actual Christmas. So we got together, right? So it was my mom's family, my mom's side of the family, her brother and her sister, their respective husband and wives, and us, a couple of the cousins, right? So we're there and we're watching. So I'm sitting on one couch, and my aunt, who's in her mid to late 70s, sitting on the recliner, and she's kind of half watching, half not, half almost falling asleep. And so the Leafs score, right? And so you know how they show, right after the goal, they show the replay. Well, as they're showing the replay, my aunt says, "Oh my God, they scored again." And we all turned around and burst out laughing because she didn't realize that was the replay. And we're like, if only it worked that way where they could just score again and will that quickly.
Yeah, we'll just run back the tape over and over.
This was a game that was key for several people. I think Joshua rounded into form. In this game, really started playing well. This game and onward. Um, McMahon really had a good game. But as you mentioned, Cowan and Robertson. Cowan is younger, like it's his first full season, so I'm not expecting the world from him. But I like what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing from Robertson is phenomenal. He's finally turning into an all-round. Like he's still got the offense to spare, but he's turning into an all-round player. Like you see him digging, like he's going into the corner digging for the puck.
Right, and that's what you want to see: effort, energy out of your players.
He's a small guy, and he's knocking around people in the boards. That's what you, because he's got, everybody knows he's got that wicked shot. But now he's rounding it out with other parts of his game. And that's going to keep him in the lineup. And you're right. He should get more top 6 minutes and more power play time for sure. But
he was another one. There were a lot of trade rumors at the beginning of the season, and I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea.
No, I don't. No, they won't be trading him anytime soon. That's for sure. Not with efforts like that. And again, Hildeby coming in like that. Like Hildeby looks like a much different goalie than he was last year. Like he's just more composed.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do. Again, Stolar's still not back. Who do they go forward with, out of this group?
Like, yeah, but, in terms of Hildeby, the thing I'm noticing this year is his positioning is better. His movement is quieter, which means he's not flopping around like a seal caught out of water.
He's a big guy. He's really using his body well.
Right. And
covering the front of the net.
This was one of the rare times when he's been in net where the Leafs actually gave him goal scoring support. So that was nice to see. But he's really proving he belongs in the NHL at this point. And having 3 competent goalies is a good problem to have.
I was going to say that's not the worst thing in the world, especially when you have one who's hurt. And again, the Leafs aren't exactly forthcoming with injury details, but Stolar's been out for a while.
Yeah, just upper body.
Yeah.
And when's he going to be back? Well, no timetable. Well, okay. What?
Yeah, he's somewhere between month to month and year to year. What? Huh?
So, I could probably ask James Gunn on Twitter when they're going to cast the DCU Batman and get more of a definitive answer than I would ask you to leave. Say, when is Stolarz going to be back? But no, Hildeby had a great game, and that was one of the Leafs' better games of the year.
Yeah, he's gaining confidence. And they had another good game on December the 2nd. They were at the Panthers, and they won 4-1.
Listen, I know the Panthers are banged up with a lot of injuries. So are we. So are we. Listen, I have 2 things. I have no sympathy for them. Number 1. Number 2, I don't care that they're injured. When you get a chance to beat those
keep it PG-13, bro.
When you get a chance to beat those ingrates, you take it. I don't care how injured they are. I don't care who's playing in their lineup. You beat them. And the Leafs did, thoroughly. And I enjoyed every second of that. I wanted that, would have been nice to have that in May of 2025.
Yeah.
But I'll take it now.
By the way, 4 shots on goal for both Matthews and Nyes during this game. Those are 2 players that need to have more shots on goals. And,
they need to be commanding the game when they're on the ice.
.963 save percentage for Joseph Woll in this game.
I mean, look, with the exception of the most recent game, when Wall's been in the net, he's been very solid this year. And when you're getting save percentages like that, as long as you're competent in your own end, you should win the game.
As long as at least your shots on goal are somewhere in the neighborhood of the opposing team, when there's a huge discrepancy, that's a problem.
Yeah. Who were the goal scorers in that game? Do we have?
Okay, the goal scorers in this game: Dakota Joshua, Troy Stetcher,
Yes.
John Tavares. You are right, John Tavares, Scott Lawton.
Oh,
Those were the 4 goal scorers in the game.
and you know what? I gotta say, I love Scott Lawton. I just love the way he plays. Uh, effort, constant effort. And again, remember I said, this game really turned it around for Joshua. This was one of the games where that happened, and you see it, and again, Tavares, he's had a little bit of a dip now, but he's been having a great season. So, yeah, this was just a fun game overall.
Mm-hmm. And another fun game after that. The Leafs played the Hurricanes in the PNC Arena in Raleigh. Came out with as a 5-1 winner.
Again, that's another one where you said we won that one 5-1?
5-1, yes.
Going into it, I didn't expect to win that game, I'll be honest. Like, when you look at the counter, you're like, oh, we're going to have trouble in that game.
Mm-hmm.
But then you don't, and they play again. I mean, it's impressive.
When you look at it, McMahon, Nyes, Tavares, all 3 shots on goal. Bobby McMahon had 2 goals in this game. Matthew Nyes had 1. Austin Matthews only 1 goal, but he had 5 shots on goal. So once again...
But again, with the shots comes the goals.
Yeah, exactly. Working harder, making them work, and Austin Matthews hopefully working himself back into form.
Absolutely. But you know what? I think this was the nice backhand goal.
Mm-hmm. This is also, if I remember correctly, this is when Wall got hurt in this game and Hildeby had to come in relief.
Yes, I believe you're correct. Yes.
Hildeby
absolutely.
came in and did a good job.
Yes, absolutely. But, I'll never forget the nice goal where he had somebody draped all over him and he just shoved him off.
Yeah.
With one arm, like he was a doll. And I'm like, yes, you're huge. You have all that meat on your bones. Use it. And when he does, that's what happened. And the backhand, what a goal. I love Nyes.
And Nyes is one of those players, he doesn't jaw a lot. You don't see him out there trash talking. But when he's mad, he lets you know. He did the other night. He's like, you want to go? Okay. Drop the gloves and pow.
Beating a team like Carolina who, historically we have trouble against Carolina. I like beating those teams. So that was a good win.
So we came back home to Scotiabank to face the Canadiens and unfortunately lost 2-1 in a shootout. So at least got the point, but it was another game that we were kind of goal poor because of not a lot of shots on goal.
This was against who again?
The Canadiens.
Oh.
December 6th. It was an ugly first period. It ended 0-0.
Look, better effort.
Matthews only had 1 shot on goal. So
I won't argue with the effort. It was great. The defensive structure was better. But for me, Who scored our goal again? Who was it again?
Lawton.
Oh, yeah, okay. So wait. Now I remember which goal it was. Couple things here. Couple things I gotta say. To all the Montreal Canadiens fans who celebrated this win like it was they were winning the Stanley Cup. Listen, relax. All right, you won a game 2-1. 3/4 of your wins have been in overtime. You're not some juggernaut, dynasty in the modern era like you used to be in the. So just control your chirping. That's number one. Number two, that Lawton slap shot breakaway goal. What a shot! Mm-hmm. And again, you know why I love Lawton? Because okay, occasionally he'll score a nice goal, but his work ethic is every game the same all the time. I want 22 Lawtons, but maybe 10 of them that could score at a better clip than him.
Hey,
that would be an ideal team.
Well, this was another game too. Matthews wasn't very involved. He got one shot on goal. And Max Domi had 4. That usually.
Whoa! The rare time Max Domi shoots, but we'll get there. Mr. Nepotism. But again, Willoughby stood on his head that whole game, and then he gets in the shootout, and there was his first ever NHL shootout, and he got scored on 3 times. And I saw some Leaf fans, well, you can't make us save in the shootout. If it wasn't for him, they wouldn't have gotten to the shootout.
Right, exactly. They never would have made it there.
Don't blame Willoughby. He got us the point. But again, look, as much as I hate, I can feel the vomit in my throat just saying it. As much as I hate losing to Montreal, at least we got a point. Mm-hmm. That's what I implore the Leafs to do. If you must lose a game from here on out, try and make the majority of them in overtime or a shootout to at least get the point. But again, this was a game where they couldn't capitalize on their power play, and that cost them. But the effort was better, and you could see strides. They were trying to get themselves out of this funk. Like, you could see it. You know what I mean? So, I hated losing to Montreal, but I was thankful for the point.
So again, another home stretch. This time the Lightning came to town. Leafs win 2-0. Austin Matthews had 7 shots on goal in this. And he got 1 goal.
The Tampa Bay game.
Mm-hmm. 1 goal for Austin Matthews, 1 for Morgan Riley.
Okay. So I love the Riley pinch. My frustration with Riley sometimes is when he chooses to pinch. This was the right choice. I have another frustration with Riley, but that'll come in one of the losses when we talk about it.
Mm-hmm. By the way, shutout for Dennis Hill to be in this game.
And what a beautiful shutout it was. Well deserved. Again, positionally he's sound. He's just, again, the economy of his movement is so good. He really uses his size to the most part in the net, which I like. He was great. The Matthews goal was an empty netter, but considering how far away he was in his own zone. And so, listen, Matthews in earlier years would always almost pass up an empty net goal. Now he's taking them, and rightfully he should. When you have a chance to smash it in that empty net, you do it. Ovechkin does it all the time. So why shouldn't you?
Well, he's missed a couple of easy kind of tip-in shots that I've noticed this year. He hasn't quite got there on time. Domi missed the other day. He was right in front of the net, and he got kind of caught up in his stick handling, and he had a nice shot, and he didn't get a shot off. So I've seen that a couple of times from the Leafs this year, like being indecisive instead of just letting the thing fly. And if you're Austin Matthews, you got to let it fly.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, never stop. Never stop passing up chances.
December the 11th. Still homestand at Scotiabank. They played the Sharks. 3-2 loss in overtime. Goals from Dakota Joshua, Austin Matthews. Austin Matthews had 6 shots on goal. .906 save percentage for Dennis Hildeby.
Okay. The frustrating thing about this game for me is, again, they had the lead. It was 2-0. And then, Hildeby stood on his head. Again, this is a recording. And they get the 2-0 lead. And they decide, you know what? We're good. We can stop. Look, Hildeby's going to save everything.
Yeah, the killer instinct has been a problem at times. We talked about they've had quite a few leads that they've squandered this year.
But it's not the lead. It's not squandering the lead necessarily. It's how they do it. Because they looked pretty good when they got up 2-0, and then again they just stopped. That's the problem. And again, I get it. San Jose is not a powerhouse, but they're a team on the rise. And you can't play down to your opponent. And that's, or not play down, but underestimate your opponent. And that's what it seemed to me like the Leafs did, right?
Well, they definitely did that in the next game, December the 13th against the Oilers. They got whacked 6-3.
Again, this is...
Steven Lorentz had a standout game, though. We'll give that to him.
This is a game that, again, is frustrating. Because at one point they had the lead. I think it was 2-1 at one point, right?
It was 2-1. 1-1 after it was 1-1 after the first period when they went to the break. They had the lead, and then they had the lead 2-1, and that was when the wheels came off.
So it looked like that, but again, it's Edmonton, right? They have really 2 threats on their team. It's McDavid and Draisaitl. And the first, 2-3 minutes of the game, McDavid comes in, and I swear to God, listen, any teachers that are teaching religion class and are teaching the Old Testament, the story of Moses. Remember when the Jewish people fled out of Egypt and they had to cross the Red Sea, and Moses went up there with his walking stick and said some mumbo jumbo, I can't remember what the line was, said something to God or into the heavens, and raised up his walking staff, and all of a sudden the Red Sea parted, and the Jewish people could walk right through like there was no impediment whatsoever. I swear to God, that was McDavid. He was like Moses. He just went like this. I've never seen Riley move out of the way. Riley looked like Barry Allen, like the Flash. He was gone. He disappeared. He just moved out of the way. Now look, I know it's McDavid. I know he's the best player in the world. I'll cheer for him in the Olympics because he's on Team Canada.
That dude is incredibly fast when
he's on Team Canada. I'm going to cheer for him, in the Olympics. Great. I can't wait. Thankful to have him on our team. Sucks for you guys. But for right now, I didn't want him to do this. But Riley, I know he's the best player in the world. Don't move over for him. Look, here's what Riley did. Riley said, "Go ahead, sir. Would you like me to park your..." Riley was a restaurant valet. "Would you like me to park your car, sir?" "Go ahead, there's your table." And then when he decides, "Oh, maybe I should do something," here, Riley's big defensive move. You want to know what it is? Here it is, Donnie. Watch, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
"I'm going to poke you. I'm going to poke you." Hit him! Use your body, knock him over. No. I'm going to poke you. Want to play pool? I'm going to poke you.
Well, like the only thing I'll say in his defense is that McDavid, even if he's on the opposing team, he is an incredible sight to watch.
Again, I'm not disputing he's the overall best player in the world. But you got to try and do something. Look, if you're going to take a penalty, there's the moment to take a penalty. Hook him.
Right, yeah.
Cross-check him in the back.
Yeah. Don't let him come clean to the goal like that.
Slash him in the legs. My problem is... No, listen.
No, I know what you're saying. I know. At some point, you get desperate enough, you got to try anything.
Don't hurt him bad enough that he can't play in February for Team Canada. But what I'm saying is, you can't just let him walk in, and better yet, move over for him.
Yeah, Dennis Hildeby only had an .844 save percentage.
But again, Donnie, the shots were double.
Yeah, no, it was.
What the hell is Hildeby supposed to do? If I was Hildeby, I would have left the net. I would have said, "You guys don't want to play? I'm leaving."
Well, Berube eventually pulled him.
No, but I would have left before that. Yeah. I would have just skated to the dressing room. Look, the team doesn't want to help me. I'm going to leave. And you know why an effort like that is the most disappointing? Because, once Edmonton tied and took things over, there was no pushback. The Leafs collectively said, "Oh, we're done. We can't compete with this." They willingly gave up. That's the depressing part. That's the frustrating part. Listen, I know we're not going to win every game. I'm not asking for... I wish that. Believe me, if I had a genie, I wish the Leafs could go 82-0. I'm not stupid. I know they can't. But if you're going to lose...
season, though, let me tell you.
No, but if you're going to lose... Yeah, it would be. But if you're going to lose, at least, Jesus, 3-2, 4-3 in overtime, I'd accept that, because at least you were trying. But what was it, 6-3, 5-3?
6-3, yeah, 6-3.
Yeah.
Now we move on to December 16th, still at Scotiabank Arena. And this was a heart-pounding game. Leafs win 3-2, but they were down 2-0 late in the third period.
This was Chicago.
Yeah, this was Chicago.
Okay, so here's the part I don't like. You're down 2-0 to Chicago. They're not that good to begin with,
no.
Number one. Number two, they only have one good player. His name is Connor Bedard. He accounts for roughly 50% of their goal scoring. Guess what, Donnie? He wasn't in this game.
He didn't play that night.
He's injured. And you're losing 2-0.
Yeah.
On Joe Bowen night, for God's sake.
And that might be the worst aspect of this, that they had no energy.
You're honoring the guy. You just went through a ceremony honoring the guy who's been the voice of your franchise for decades.
44 years, if I remember correctly.
He's called some of the my most treasured childhood memories. I remember being in the car on my way back from my first ever karate class. In 1994, it was game 1 of round 3. The Leafs versus Vancouver. Yes, we used to make it back. We used to make it to the third round of the playoffs back then. The good old days. Because we can't talk about a cup win because they haven't done that since 1967. None of us have been alive. I don't even think, Donnie, were you alive back then?
No.
Screw that bullshit. What, were you alive back then?
No, I was still a few years away.
Look, listen. If him and I were both old, we weren't alive back then. So we can't celebrate a cup. All I can do is say, hey, we used to make it to the third round back in 1994. This guy called, I remember I was in the car, the Leafs scored. I fist bumped up in the air because of his call. I almost punched a hole through the roof of the van. So this guy called, oh, my child, remember, the poor man is retiring. This is it. Right now you're sitting outside of a playoff spot, and this is what he's going to call. But you're honoring him. So, at the very least, wake up for this game. Show an effort for this game.
And a lot of was made of the fact that the fans were booing, and they had every right to boo with that effort.
You damn right we're booing.
Yeah.
I was on the couch, and I was booing. Imagine paying premium dollar to go sit there and watch that.
Now, I don't think that Austin. Some people were saying that Matthews was trying to antagonize the Leafs fans.
No.
I don't think that's what he was doing.
So who scored the goals for?
The goals in this was Matthews, Dakota Joshua, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
Okay. What I liked about this was once they heard the booing, the Leafs thought, you know what? This is embarrassing. This is Joe Bowen night.
Mm-hmm.
We're shitting ourselves like a 90-year-old with no bowel control. And it's on Joe Bowen night. We're celebrating this legend of broadcasting. And we're not even showing up. If the fans are booing and we can hear it and it's that loud, maybe we should do something. And they did. And Matthews led the charge. But here's my issue. Why does it take us to boo? Why does it take the fans to boo or the coach to yell at Nylander to elicit a reaction?
Only 2 shots on goal for Nylander in this game.
Well, Nylander goes to, again.
By the way, Joseph Wall back in the lineup, 920 percentage. Save percentage.
When you're getting that kind of goaltending, if your effort is half decent, you should win most of those games.
Exactly.
So I applaud the Leafs for picking up their pants, pulling up their socks, and getting the job done, but it should have never got to that point. I will say this as an aside. You know who should replace Joe Bowen when he retires? His son, because his son did the game and was fantastic at it on the radio. So I fully support that move if they do that. They probably won't, but they should.
I like how he was like, "No, I can't say Holy Mackinac because."
Then he did. And again, you can score 2 goals in 8 seconds. Okay, great. I'm glad you can do that. Here's an idea. Start the game that way. Everybody, look, 98% of the Leaf games start at 7 p.m. It's not a secret what time they start. And yet, for some reason, the Leafs have trouble starting games. Sometimes they start at 7:45. They decide, oh, we should play now. Or, sometimes it's even later. Like the other night, it was the second period, so it was about 8:30. Where they say, oh, you know what, maybe we should play. But I give them credit. They collectively picked themselves up and chose to play better. Came back on that night. So I applaud them for that.
Yeah, again, at least...
And it was exciting. It was exciting.
At least they did. Yeah, exactly. It was this team has never been boring. Well, this team is not usually boring this year. At least they did the right thing. Joe Bowen night. You cannot let Joe Bowen have his night and lose like that, especially lose with no effort. Now we move on. The Leafs go on a road swing December the 18th at Washington, and goodness gracious, this game was ugly. Leafs lose 4-0. And the Leafs were flat in this game.
Who was the opponent again?
They played the Caps.
Yes, again.
Yeah. Played the Caps, Capital One Arena, and they were down 2-0 after 1, and they never recovered.
There's not much really to say about this game, other than the Leafs just didn't show up at all. It was, hey, we're going to lose this one, and it is what it is.
Tavares and Robertson were the only guys who were really going to the net and taking the shots.
Absolutely. When there's only two guys, pulling on the rope, you're going to get dragged into the mud. And that's exactly what happened today. Like, there literally isn't much to say about this game at all.
Now, like I said, they did not seem like they were in the game. Those first two goals when they went to the first break down 2-0, they just seemed like they didn't want to play this night.
Yeah, that's exactly it. They say, you know what? Yeah, we're not feeling it tonight. We're just going to go through the motions.
And unfortunately, things did not get better on December the 20th. They played the Predators, Bridgestone Arena, and lost 5-3.
Okay, so here's the kind of game where how can I put this? You lose this game, yes, which is disappointing. But I thought they had a solid effort overall.
They were leading after one.
Right, but even when they were losing, the effort was there. The process was there. They were getting chances. They weren't getting run out of the building like they did in Washington.
Nashville scored 3 goals late, and that's what put them over the top.
One was an empty net.
One was an empty netter, yeah. So.
But again, the process was there. I think Michelli scored a goal, was it?
Bobby McMahon, John Tavares, and Nicholas Waugh were the 3 goals.
Right. So again, like McMahon and Waugh, those guys were really picking it up, doing the job.
Yeah, really solid effort out of Bobby McMahon that night.
But again, overall, I think the Leafs put in an effort in that game. You can't really get mad at that. Like, look, again, this is me accepting that they're not going to win every game. But in games that you lose, at least show me that you care. I'm sitting on my couch at home. I don't make a dime from you guys playing. Why do I care more than you? I lose sleep over this. Do they? That's what I mean. At least when you're going to lose, show me that you care. Show me that you have pride in what you're doing.
Unfortunately, that would not be the case in the next game. December 21st, they go to Dallas to play the Stars, and they lose 5-1. Once again, 4 goals scored in the third period. The third period has not been nice to the Leafs as of late.
But again, Donnie, I'm looking at some of the stats here. It's difficult because I don't think it was a terrible game for the most part.
Well, we'll say this. Shots on goal, Riley and Lawton both had 5. Austin Matthews had 4. So they were setting themselves up for offensive Leafs, at least, but the shots were not going in.
Like, yes, things came off the rails a bit, but again, the effort was there. That's my thing. It's about effort, and I think for the most part, like one of the Leafs said. Funny enough, I think it was Nylander who said, that's one of the nights where, we're playing better, but that's kind of karma, catching up with us, right? Where had we played better throughout the year, earlier in the year, we would have got some of those games, and now we're playing better. It's just not falling for us, but we're working through it. I think this game was an example of that.
Well, the Leafs headed back to Scotiabank Arena on the 23rd of December, and they get a 6-3 win against the Penguins. I'd like to see the Penguins coming. This year, the Leafs have played well against them.
Again, it was the Dubas Bowl, Dubas to Damas Bowl, and we won all of them. Again, you know, I didn't ask for much for Christmas.
2 goals out of William Nylander on this.
All I asked for, hold on, we'll get to Nylander in a second. All I asked for from Santa were two things. Realistically, I knew maybe I would get one, maybe none. I always asked for Margot Robbie in her Harley Quinn costume on Christmas, and not an action figure, actual Margot Robbie in her Harley Quinn costume. I've been asking for that since 2016. I still haven't gotten it. But you never know. Hope springs eternal. You never know. But this year specifically, I just asked for just win before the holidays and go on a nice winning streak after the holidays, or a nice streak.
The Leafs ended this game when it was over 16, 15, and 5.
And knock on wood, I think that's come true. But this game again, the Leafs just had pace, effort. They were playing very straightforward. And Nylander, praise be the Lord, hallelujah, decided, you know what? I haven't played well for friggin' 14 games.
2 goals and 2 assists.
Now I should turn it on. And he did.
Yeah, we hadn't seen that version of William Nylander.
But again, in this game, Donnie, if you remember this game, there were moments where he's behind the net along the boards and he's taking the puck off his opponent. And I'm like, hello? So you can do this. Why is it not consistent? Can somebody explain that to me?
Yeah, we've definitely seen up and down energy levels this year. And I get that. It's hard. 82 games is a very long stretch. But when you go through long stretches of that where energy is an issue, you can dig yourself a very deep hole.
Yes. But you don't have to have, an endless supply of energy to have an effort every night, right? But yeah, this was definitely Nylander's game. He really took charge. And I like to see that. And was it Wall in net this game or was it Hildeby? It was Wall, right?
Yes, I believe it was Wall. Yeah, Joseph Wall with a .906 save percentage on this night.
Right. And who were the goal scorers?
Goal scorers, 2 from Nylander, Max Domi, Bobby McMahon.
Oh, yes, Domi. Thank you. That's what I wanted to do.
Matthew Michelli and Scott Lorentz.
Okay, so Domi.
Excuse me, Steven Lorentz, excuse me. Yeah.
That was the one where he went, it was that nice where he deked through a couple of players. Right, yeah. Max, my friend, who you've never met me in your life. But I'm going to call you my friend.
Much more effective as a winger. That's all I'm going to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, I never want to see you play center again. No disrespect. I love that deke maneuver. You're a very good, skilled playmaker. You have a really nice shot. Can I please implore you? Shoot more!
Like I said, that one recently that was in front of the net where he was stick handling and he just never got the shot off and nobody was even on him.
He was stick handling through a ghost, apparently. No, just shoot! But it was a beautiful goal by Domi. And you know what I noticed, Donnie, in this game?
What's that?
It was the next gen game, which means there were a lot of young people, young kids. And the noise level was good. And I think the Leafs fed off the crowd noise level. So I like that. But yeah, it was a great game.
Then we hop on to December 27th, and man, was this a wild game.
Oh, yeah.
7-5 over the Senators. Austin Matthews had 9 shots on goal in this game. And it was wild. It was 2-1 after 1, and then 5-2. Ottawa got 3 goals in the third, but the Leafs also scored 2, and they win 7-5.
This was a simple case of the first game after the holidays. Defensively is a disaster for both teams. That was the scenario here.
And wasn't it Nyes? I think it was Nyes at the end who got that like leaping goal in front of the Sens net.
Yeah.
Oh, that was awesome.
And again, our power play started to click. Remember, we fired our old power play coach.
Yeah. The power play is looking so much. Joe Bowen called it the hottest power play in the NHL recently.
Well, listen, look. Different positioning, different looks, different strategies can help. And I think that's what Steve Sullivan brings. When you're stagnant and everybody knows exactly the plays you're going to make, it's easier to defend. But look, I will always love beating Ottawa.
Definitely.
Ottawa, you suck. You will always suck, in my mind. And your logo is atrocious. It is a deformed-looking Trojan Condoms knockoff logo. And it's almost as bad as the Montreal Canadiens toilet seat. Again, 7 goals. I think did McMahon get one, I think?
I just changed.
Anyway.
Yeah. McMahon got a goal. Well,
yes.
Anyway, go ahead.
But the Nye's goal was the one that really was the masterpiece goal, because it was a beauty. And the setup for that was good too. I believe it was a drop pass, if I remember correctly. I think it was Michelli that dropped him the puck, and then Michelli's been picking it up lately as well. Which
definitely more of a presence lately. Yeah.
And again, he's got some skills, so he just needs, I think, some runway to show it, and I think he's getting that now.
So December 28th, the Leafs traveled to Detroit. Very tight game that the Red Wings won in overtime 3-2.
Okay, so I have a story about this one.
All right, go ahead.
Remember my friend who is the good luck charm?
Yes.
Well, this happened to be her first NHL hockey game. She went with them. It was a gift over Christmas, and so they went to Detroit. She was very excited. Had her Leaf jersey, first ever Leaf jersey she's ever owned. So she was all excited. I kept getting messages of, "It's cold in here," and I'm like, "Well, hockey arena, that's par for the course." So my thought going in was, man, okay, it's her first game. She's relatively new to the sport. I really hope the Leafs don't lay an egg for her in her first game. That would be disappointing if she went there. They traveled to Detroit, and imagine they would have stunk up the joint. Happy to say they didn't. The Leafs played a really, really solid game overall that game.
917% save percentage for Dennis Hildeby that night.
Yeah, I thought defense. Well, he did something that I wouldn't recommend, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But the effort was there. Defensively, they were solid for the most part. The Robertson goal was a beauty. Like, he ripped that thing. That was great. So, but I was like, okay, so, I was more concerned. I'm like, I hope they play a decent game for her. And the reason why I say that was because I went to a game where I sat in Platinum, which is front row.
Mm-hmm.
It was when the Atlanta Thrashers were still a team. And the Leafs proceeded to lose 9-2. So I said, I hope that they have a better game for you, and that because it's your first game, and I don't want you to have to see that. So, of course, the Leafs go to overtime, and the Leafs had most of the chances in overtime. Hildeby makes a save and decides, I'm going to push the puck up to Matthews.
Yeah, he tried to poke it to Matthews, and that was a bad decision.
Here's the problem. 2 things. He's doing it with one hand on his backhand, number 1. Number 2, Matthews is dead tired and nearly fell over trying to get it. Turns into a giveaway, and then Troy comes in, nice deke, and Hildeby has no chance. Next time, Dennis Hildeby, do me a favor. Just go for the whistle and take the face off.
Mm-hmm. 2 assists for John Tavares in this game, though.
This is the game that Nylander went out with some kind of leg injury. And Matthews hurt his foot from blocking a shot. But the funny thing was, so my friend was very upset that they lost. Because it was their first game, naturally. But I was trying to explain that, hey, listen, they played really good. And they got a point. So I'm the calm one in this text conversation. So imagine that. Me, the calm one. Imagine. But what I realized was, she, like, as I said, she's relatively new to hockey. She watched maybe like 5 games at the end of last season before the playoffs. So all she really knows is playoff hockey, right? She doesn't. She wasn't aware. And this is my fault. I'm a terrible Jedi teacher, to put it in Star Wars terms, because I didn't explain 2 things. I never explained 3-on-3 overtime to her. So I remember at one point she's like, "Why is it 3-on-3?" Because in the playoffs it's 5-on-5. And the other thing I never explained was the point system. So 2 points for a win, no points for a regulation loss, and 1 point for a shootout or overtime loss. So here I am saying, "Don't worry, they got a point. We'll take the point. It's a good point." She's like, "Why is everybody telling me it's a good thing they got a point? I don't understand what this." So I had to explain the whole point system to her. But again, as much as I would have liked to win that game, and the Leafs should have won that game because they had a 2-1 lead, I will take the point and put it in the bank. The other thing I will say, and here's where I get on Riley, again, similar to my complaint in the Edmonton game. Here's Riley on the winning goal. "I'm going to poke you. I'm going to poke you." No! Hit somebody! How come when the Leaf players are on the net, other teams have no problem knocking us over? But Morgan Riley, "I'm going to poke you. I'm ready to play pool. I'm going to poke you." And the best part is, with his miraculous poke check, notice he never stops anything. The puck never gets dislodged off the player's stick. The player never loses control. Nothing. He's just poking. He's poking thin air. So, Riley, listen. Look, Riley's having a great offensive season. Defensively, Riley cannot defend to save his life.
Definitely.
That's a problem. When you're a defenseman, that's a problem. That would be like Matthews getting 12 breakaways in a row and never scoring one of them. That's a problem. So Riley, get someone, probably nice, or McCabe, or Tanev, to teach you how to throw a hit. Hit! Body check, it's allowed. As long as you do it legally, it's allowed. Don't cross-check the guy in the head. I'm not advocating that, but you know your shoulder? Go like this. At least, look, you may not be able to knock the guy over, but at least attempt it.
That's a good point.
But look, I'll take the point and run, which is what the Leafs did.
The Leafs got back on the winning track December 30th against the New Jersey Devils at home. 4-0, a shutout for Joseph Wall. And monster game for Bobby McMahon. 6 shots on goal. He got a goal, as did Wah, Yarncroke, Matthew Nyes.
Yeah.
And,
so
the Leafs shut out the Devils.
The funny thing about this game is Matthews was out because of his foot injury. Nylander was out because of whatever's ailing him with his leg. Joshua was out with a kidney injury.
And a lot of people were like, "Yeah, we're going to get killed this night."
Tanev was out with whatever the hell is wrong with him.
Lo and behold.
Listen, I'd love to tell you what's wrong with Tanev. Damned if I know. Damned if anybody knows. I gotta hire Sherlock Holmes to figure out, hey, can you find out when Solars is coming back? And while you're at it, let me know what's wrong with Tanev. Anyway, none of these 41 Donnie. Imagine this: $41 million
not
in
on
salary unavailable, and the Leafs play. And I'm not joking you. Pound for pound, offense, defense, best game of the year. You know why? Effort.
Yeah, they got it from everybody.
Speed, effort, determination, cohesiveness, a five-man unit playing defense. So now, Donnie, here's what I don't want to hear. Don't ever tell me that the coach is the problem. Because, look, they're playing exactly the way the coach told them to play. Look.
And you and I were talking about that, earlier in the month, that we thought Berube might get fired, and we didn't think that was fair. But that's usually what happens. When a change has to be made, it's usually the head coach.
But don't tell me that it's coaching. Because it's not. When you play his system and you commit to it, you're successful. So now, again, here's not what I don't want to see. Don't just do this when Matthews and Nylander are out of the lineup. This should be with them in the lineup too. So the Leafs prove that they can play like this. And they're capable. This is the infuriating thing. But I'll tell you what, Donnie. You know what's great about this win?
What's that?
You know who's the coach of the New Jersey Devils?
Go ahead.
Sheldon Keefe. Our old coach. Mr. When he left Toronto. Oh, now I'm coaching in the real NHL. Oh, really? Well, Sheldon, I'd like to ask you a question, you Strongs. How does it feel to coach in the real NHL now? Huh? Does it feel good? Because it feels good to me. Serves you right, dumbass. You got your captain that got his lights knocked out by Nyes in a fight. You got, again, Tate McRae's boyfriend who got thrown to the ice by Nyes. I think Nyes is pissed off that he didn't make the U.S. Olympic team.
Yeah,
that's what I think is the problem.
that. Yeah, that's anyway.
So Nyes was having a field day with Sheldon Keefe's buddies, and I love to see it. And again, Nyes, you're 6 foot, whatever the hell you are, beef, of a man. Keep doing that.
Well, again, you and I talk about, the need for the energy level and the tone. I mean, Nyes has really set that for them at times this year. So,
yeah. So, a great game. A perfect game. I loved it. Best game of the year. Easy.
Exactly. Speaking of great games, though, New Year's Day, the Leafs took on the Winnipeg Jets in a wild 6-5 game. Austin Matthews gets the hat trick. Looked like the Austin Matthews of old in this game.
Okay, so this was a tale of two Leaf seasons. First 30 minutes of the game looked like the Leafs that we were complaining about for large stretches of this season. Last 30 minutes of the game looked like the Leafs that beat New Jersey, that beat Pittsburgh, beat Tampa Bay. This team, and my reactions to them at any given moment in any given game, are like Two-Face. Flip the coin, because God knows which version you're going to get. I can tell you, for the first half of this game, the Italian vulgarity, the Vafangulos were coming out.
Yeah. Well, they were
faster
down,
than the Flash can move.
0-2 at the end of one when they went to that
4-1
break.
And 4-1 halfway through the second period. Now, so I was thank God my New Year's resolution was not don't swear in Italian at the TV towards the Leafs, because if it was, I would have failed on day one. But two things happened. Halfway through the game, our Stanley Cup winning coach, who is not the problem, said, Wall is being hung out to dry. Those 4 goals were not on Wall. They were not all Wall's fault. Nobody was helping him out. Again, Joseph Wall was essentially Tom Hanks' character in the movie Castaway. By himself on an island. But then, so the goalie gets pulled, Hildy comes in. And then something beautiful happened, Donnie. It was like Back to the Future. Michael J. Fox, I almost said Jamie Foxx, wrong guy. Michael J. Fox on the DeLorean and went back 2 seasons when Matthews was capable of scoring 60 goals. Oh, Austin Matthews, I love this version of you.
Mm-hmm.
Where you just decide, you know what? This is my game, and I'm taking it over.
Also need to point out, Michelli, OEL, and Stetcher got the other 3 goals, but you and I
Okay.
have talked
Wait a minute. Okay, so I'll talk about those 3 guys first.
Go ahead.
OEL, man, I love this defenseman. Congratulations on making Team Sweden. Don't you dare get hurt, because I'll kill you if you do. I won't. Don't send the FBI. I won't. I'm just.
And if you play the USA, please don't take out Austin Matthews.
Listen, yeah, look, when Sweden, look, here's my solution to the Olympic problem. Just have Canada and the US play for gold. That's what everybody wants. And have Matthews just sit in the press box and watch, have an espresso, and relax. Whatever happens, you're either going to get a gold or silver. Just enjoy the coffee and the croissant. No need to exert yourself playing the game. You're getting paid $13.2 million anyway. But anyway, so Matthews got the first goal to start. Beautiful tip. Nice pass by Domi. There are times when you should pass, Domi. That's one of them. Good job. When you're in front of the net, in the slot, shoot. But in that situation, nice pass. So 2-1, then, shit hits the fan. Winnipeg scores 2 more goals. Nobody cares about that. Let's not talk about that. Forget about it. It didn't happen. Anyway, we get a late power play. The resurgent hottest power play in the league, as Joe Bowen calls it. 2 seconds left. Matthews in the slot. Prime.
That was nasty.
Prime. Vintage Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
Wrister. Bang. In the net. Oh, yeah, now we got a chance.
I'll tell you what, though. When it was 4-4 and the Jets got the next goal, a lot of times when there's a big comeback like that and it ties up, it's that next goal that's the one that decides it. Not only did the Leafs reload and they tied it and then won the game.
When Stetcher scored that, when Michelli scored that 4-4 goal, that shot was a bullet.
Mm-hmm.
Like he went bar down with that wrist shot. I didn't know he had that shot in him. Can I see that more often, please? Again, he's another one with the Domi syndrome. Shoot! Also, I like to say, with Michelli scoring the way he did, and Mitch Marner, who?
Well, again, so back to what we've talked about in other podcasts, just very quickly. You and I talked about, a lot of people are just like, they've got to find a way to replace Marner. You and I agreed on the fact that we're like, the most important thing is for Austin Matthews to get back to the Austin Matthews that we saw 2 seasons ago. Yes,
but it's a collective.
No, I agree, especially when it comes to physicality and defense. But it's like you just said that Austin Matthews, at times, Austin Matthews has to take games over.
When Matthews can take games over, he's in the same conversation as McDavid. When he wants to be. So, I didn't know Michelli had that shot in him. Please, I want to see more of that shot. When Winnipeg made it 5-4 on a stupid penalty by Max Domi, dumb penalty. But what are you going to do? I got to say, Troy Stetcher was a waiver pickup. He cost us nothing. And you know what? I think he may have saved our season. Look, he's only got 2 goals with us. But defensively, the guy works hard.
Yes.
He tries. He's in the right spot all the time. And he got rewarded. What a goal. What a setup, too, by Matthews and McMahon. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And then, because when Winnipeg doesn't have Connor Hellebuyck in net, they're useless. Their goalie, whatever his name is, I think it's Connor Ingram or something Ingram or whatever that. Anyway, for whatever reason, he's got his ass facing Austin Matthews. He's trying to freeze the puck, but Easton Cowan kind of knocks it off of his, loose from his glove, and it pops out in front of the net where Austin Matthews is just waiting, and he backhands it in for the game-winning goal. Oh, it was just, it was just beautiful. And I have to say something, because years ago, one time when the Jets beat the Leafs, they showed in the dressing room footage of Mark Scheifele handing out the Player of the Game award for Winnipeg and saying, "Nothing better than beating the Leafs, eh? Yeah, hey, Mark Scheifele? Nothing better than beating the Jets, eh? How do you like losing 8 in a row? Feel good?"
Yeah.
Talk about coaches getting fired. I feel sorry for the Winnipeg coach because I don't think he has long for that job. But yeah, look, great win. That was a game too where even though the Leafs were down 4-1, I don't think they were playing bad.
No, it was one of those really wild games.
It was just a calamity of circumstances that just were going the wrong way. Now, so
good defense at the very end, though, holding them out both from.
By the way, that save by Hildeby with like 2 or 3 seconds left
might have been save of the year.
The blocker save, oh boy. The Hildebeest. He's living up to that name, and also makes me think of Beast, the X-Men character, which is also good. So now, in their last 5 games, the Leafs are 4-0-1. That valuable point, remember? To my friend who, is a good luck charm. Don't be discouraged that they lost. They lost in overtime. And the way I look at it, that's a tie. Because if you're going to give me a point for losing, that ain't a loss, that's a tie. Gary Bettman, the NHL commissioner, can say whatever he wants. That's a tie in my book. So anyway, they're 4-0-1. Have points in 5 straight games.
Mm-hmm.
As of this recording, they play the Islanders. I don't know what's going to happen. But we've put ourselves back in the conversation. We are literally 2 points out of a wild card spot. If the Leafs can continue playing the way they're playing in this 4-0-1 stretch, we've got a good shot. Keep it up. Matthews?
Again, you and I, we've talked at different points, and we're like, at what point do the Leafs blow it up? And I think we both agreed that
you can't.
There's
right now, you can't.
There's still too much upside with this team. Still too much possibility to do something like that.
The Eastern Conference is so wide open, you can't blow it up.
And we got half the season left. There's no reason to go to the nuclear option.
Tonight is game 41. So it means after tonight, there's another 41 games. So, look, just keep playing the way you're playing. Matthews, from now until the playoffs, from now until the Olympics, keep doing this. Light it up. And then relax for the Olympics. Just,
Please don't get hurt in the Olympics.
Chill out, Hang out with OEL at some coffee shop. Relax. Anyway, but up until then, go nuts. Score all the goals. Let's just quickly, before we wrap up, regarding the Toronto media and their fixation of Austin Matthews trade rumor. Look, the only time that I see an Austin Matthews trade becoming a possibility is 2. One would be if the Leafs totally fall apart in the last 41 games. Which even still, then I don't think they trade Austin Matthews. The key will become when he is scheduled to become a free agent. If during that season it looks like he has no interest in re-signing here, that's when you make that trade.
Good point.
But until then, I don't think you do it. But the Toronto media needs something to print. They need to create the sensationalism.
And the Leafs are always under a huge microscope.
And also, like the amount of times I've heard, the Leafs are in trade talks to acquire this person. And then never happens. So it's all just noise. But if they can keep this level of play out, they've got a chance. So let's hope that the next 41 games are more like the last 5. And I think we'll be okay. We'll be back to talk more games soon. But for now, that's the show. If you want to keep talking Leafs with us, you can. Donnie, where did they find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky and TikTok and YouTube as the Emerald Enthusiast. We can talk comics, we can talk collectibles, we can also talk Maple Leafs hockey.
And I'm on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram. I'll put one of those in the description. We're also on the podcast network that we're on. Also has a Facebook group. I'll link that. I can add you to that if you like comic talk and all that kind of stuff. But until next time, remember that Austin Matthews is one goal away from tying the all-time Leaf goal record. From the first goal he scored,
I got the Matthews jersey on here,
to the last. There it is. So long, everybody, and go Leafs go.
Go Leafs go.